We've been told for a while that summer hype is not real and not something to be trusted, but today we're going to be going over something that's been brewing and why we might actually be seeing a very high stretch of prices. Let's hop on into it. To start, we need to start off with one basic question. Why do peaks, or rather explosions in the market, happen in CSGO? And there's one main reason. That's when the quantity on the market drops so low that people start to become scared to sell, and therefore the price starts to shoot up very quickly. It's very simple when we're talking in terms of CSGO. Almost every single time we see a peak in the market, right before that and slightly after it, we still see people really excited to buy into the market because they think it's going to be continuing up. It's a lot of fear of missing out investing, and honestly, if you're looking for it, it's not terribly hard to predict. Now let's talk about what's going on right now. This is a very big transition we're starting to see in the market. We're starting to see tons of cases go down in quantity significantly. Over the past week or two, I made a video about 500,000 danger zone cases disappearing. Now this is a very big moment for the danger zone case specifically, but not for the overall CSGO market. Relatively speaking, one case losing half of its quantity off the market does not mean a ton, but when we're starting to look at the cases now, we're starting to see a lot of cases all across the board disappear in quantity on the market. Now I do want you to know, quantity on the market is not the only determining factor about the quantity out there. Obviously, this is just the amount of people that are willing to sell right now, but generally speaking, the quantity on the market is very important for determining how close we are to a peak. When we see cases that have 1 million listed on the market, they are probably going to be staying there for a long time, whereas relatively speaking, when we see cases that are 300,000 on the market, they are much more volatile. Now, just talking about the 10 cheapest cases on the market, because those are really a good baseline. Honestly speaking, if you're going to be investing into CSGO cases, you're probably going to be picking at least one or multiple from this list. These are the cases that, generally speaking, are the easiest and most likely to go up significantly in price and you'd actually make a profit. If the weapon case one goes from $60 to $65, that really doesn't mean too much. But when we're talking about these 10 cases here, on the right hand side, the one that just popped up, that is the current prices of today. On the left hand side, those are the prices of 3 days ago exactly. Now you're going to be noticing some very big differences here. Now the top 9 cases are the same, and that's what we're going to be focusing in on, but there's a ton of cases disappearing. Look at that, 385,000 danger zone cases down to under 300,000 now. That's almost 25% of all danger zone cases gone. Prisma 1 case, 155,000 down to 130,000, another 20% decrease pretty much. Now the odd part is it's not just the retired cases or the cases that aren't in active duty. The one that confuses me the most is the snakebite case, losing about 10% of its quantity, which is still a significant amount. That's about 25,000 cases that are gone and the price point's up 1 cent. The biggest question is, why is this happening? Almost every single case on this list has gone down almost 10% at least. Look at the Falchion case, 21,000 before, 17,000 now. A case that really has no movement at all is decreasing a significant amount. Now there's a couple cases that really haven't moved, like the clutch case, but those are to be expected. Now what does this mean moving forward? This is one of the indicators, at least in my opinion, that we could be moving towards a period where people are going to be buying more than they're selling, and generally speaking, those have been the times that we've seen the prices shoot up very quickly. A lot of CSGO cases have been increasing in price over the past period of time. Over the past month, we've seen a lot of increases in prices. Things like the breakout case have gained almost $1, which is roughly 33% from its lows. Now I could give you 320, which is still over a 20% increase to the price point we're sitting at now, which is crazy considering that there has been nothing going on in CSGO. Now I said it before and I'm going to say it again. Quantity on the market is not the only factor when a lot of these cases are talking about growth in the future. A lot of these cases are stashed away. There's millions of each of these cases out there in storage units and inventories. That doesn't mean necessarily that those are going to be brought to market, but generally speaking, looking at the market quantity is not a terrible indicator when you're comparing cases to cases, especially when we're talking about like the danger zone case and the Prisma cases. Now, I don't know specifically what's going on, but generally speaking, there is one thing for certain. Someone or a group of people, whether that be everyone investing, is stealing all of the cases. There is a significant decrease in all of these cases. You can see on the right hand side of all of these quantity graphs, which is the orange one, there's been a huge decline in the majority of these in the recent month or weeks. Look at this, chroma 1, 2, 3. Left hand side, you've got quantity, right hand, you got price points. This is absolutely crazy. We are seeing a ton of cases disappearing for all three of these. You can see that in the recent week, the chroma 1, 2, and 3 have all declined significantly in the quantity listed on the market, and therefore their price point has risen quite a fair amount. After that, you've got gamma 1 and 2 also falling off a cliff in the listings on the market in the past week. It's absolutely crazy. We don't see this often, where we see 50% of listings gone in 1 week for cases that aren't even specifically what we talked about in the past. We saw Danger Zone that fell off significantly in quantity. This isn't Danger Zone. These are a specific group of cases that are falling off, and we're gonna get to what group of cases that is in just a moment. And finally, my third example, the Spectrum case is also falling off significantly in quantity. And if you haven't gotten the correlation yet, I'm going to tell you, it's the cases I mentioned in my past video as the cases that have been the most popular for Valve that really needs to be coming back. Now let me explain this, and don't get me wrong, it's not just specifically the cases I mentioned, but it is quite interesting how all of the cases I mentioned in my past video 2 days ago are all the ones that are starting to lose a significant amount of listings right now. I believe what's going on is we are starting to see a ton of people realize that the majority of investments left out there are the ones that are really desirable and come from specific skins. We've even seen cases like the CS20 that have started to go up in price a little bit just because they offer something unique. You combine this with the fact that we're probably getting an influx of people who are not too familiar with CSGO investing because they're just coming in now, potentially because they're looking at that 10-year anniversary and thinking something big might happen. There's been a lot of Source 2 content that's been coming out, and it's something that could realistically not be that far away, which brings in a lot of new people already because they want to get familiar with the game. With all that being said though, this might potentially be a very good thing. The problem that scares me is every time a peak like this comes up, there's a lot of people that get burned. Whenever there's a seller, there's also a buyer that's buying in for that highest price point we've ever seen. Now I do want to note that not everything has been going up. We've seen that the Antwerp Legends capsule has just become the #1 listed thing on the CSGO market, which is definitely not good, and it's probably something that's not going to explode. But it's really interesting looking at just the cases that have really been going up in price lately. We haven't seen skins inside of them follow, even though they usually follow that trend a bit later. Obviously, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio, but I do think we might see some skin growth in the future, and that's going to be the very dependent factor on if we're actually going to see these case prices sustained higher, or if this is just going to be a short period of time where we see the cases higher and then it once again falls back down just like we expect it to be. With all that being said though, I want to know what you guys think. It's been a terribly long time since we've seen so many cases with so few listings on the market that something is going to happen. We just really don't know what. But as always guys, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.